Hello, my Grimling.
Oh, and with all this, I thought I was in the wrong place. I bid you well.
Hey guys, Bellegrim here again. So I just got back from watching the new Ghostbusters movie. And, before I really get into what I thought of the movie, and this will be a spoiler review, just so you know, there will be spoilers. But before I get into the movie and what I thought about it, I want to talk a bit about what what my reaction was to this whole shebang. Because, let's face it, from the minute they announced a remake, everyone has been losing their collective shit over this movie. So, when they first announced that they were doing a Ghostbusters remake, I was like, meh. Meh. Wasn't impressed, wasn't excited, wasn't nothing. I have a very dim view of remakes. They tend to be shit. Because Hollywood cares more about its numbers and its statistics than it does about actually making quality productions. They tend to take everything that we enjoyed about the original movie and they try to stick it in there in a new and edgy way that just kind of kills all the comedy and makes it kind of cliched, boring, and stupid. So I wasn't expecting much. Then it comes out that they're doing a female Ghostbusters reboot. Oh god, here we go. As I said, I did not have high hopes for this movie. And then they announce it's going to be women. And all I can hear are the trolls, the dude bros, and the SJWs. Just like duking it out online in the comment section. Because here's how this works. If it's a shitty movie, everyone's going to be blaming different things for why it's shitty. The guys are going to say, oh, it was shitty because they were female, or, you know, there's going to be a whole bunch of people saying, oh, it did poorly because sexism. And if it's a genuinely shitty movie, it deserves to do bad. I don't care who's in it or what it is. If it's a genuinely shitty movie, it deserves to die a painful death in the halls of criticisms. But then the trailer came out. Now, the very first trailer came out. No. I'm watching the first trailer. The only thing I can think is, well, at least they have the library ghost. Other than that, it looks like shit. It looks like shit. So, I'm already, I decided I'm not watching it. Second trailer comes out. Yeah, alright, I'm bored. Let me watch it. Okay. Second trailer looked a little more interesting. Second trailer looked a lot more interesting. It looked like it might actually be kind of funny. So I said, okay, I'll go watch it. Movie comes out. Y'all, it's the 9th of August. I just got to see this movie. So the movie comes out. My dashboard is flooded with Ghostbusters. Everyone has seen it and loves it. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people. Everyone on Tumblr that I'm following seems to have seen it and adored it. So, waiting to watch this movie, I see that a couple of the different reviewers that I like to watch occasionally have watched it and reviewed it. None of them. I mean, the one absolutely hated it. I kind of figured. He has a standard for this that I don't. The other kind of liked it, but then he's like, the villain is all of the original fans, the nerdy outcast and all that jazz, and that kind of made me worried. So, but I was willing, I was like, okay, I've already decided I'm going to give this a chance. I do want to check it out. So I caught it today. So let's just kind of talk about the movie, the storyline. And then I'm going to talk about the original a little bit as well. And then we're going to get into what I liked, what I didn't like, blah, 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 and my overall feelings of the movie. I'm going to hold that to the end as much as I can. So, we start with Erin, with Dr. Erin. I cannot remember her last name because it's only used like once. We start with Erin. She is a doctor, a scientific doctor in physics. And she is hoping to make tenure at this very fancy college that apparently is so important that even Princeton is not a good enough recommendation. Oy. When she finds out that a book that she had co-wrote years and years and years ago has been published by her friend and fellow author, Abigail. Again, I don't remember her last name. The only one whose last name I remember is Holtzman. So, she hunts down Abigail and finds that she is at this really crappy science institute with Holtzman. And they are continuing the research into the paranormal. Holtzman is a experimental physicist. And like a whole bunch of other shit. Because she doesn't want anyone, she wants this book gone. She wants this book to just like disappear. Because she's up for tenure, and that's not the kind, that's the exact opposite of something that would get her tenure. So they end up going to this house, to the house that the guy who came to see Erin about owns. It's this old historical building that's haunted, and they see a ghost, and Erin loses her job. The other two get fired. They kind of decide, okay, we're going to go off and we're going to do our own thing, and so they set up the Ghostbusters, and they don't actually call it Ghostbusters. It was something. Again, they only said this like 3 times in the movie, and only within a space of like 5 minutes. But they start investigating ghosts, and Patty actually starts out as someone who's just bringing them a case, like, hey y'all, I saw a ghost. And she ends up becoming a Ghostbusters, and the 4 of them, Patty, Abigail, Erin, and Jillian Holtzman, they have to try and stop this psychopath from basically bringing hell to Earth. So we've probably all watched the original Ghostbusters. Came out in the 90s. I think it was like 93 or something. I don't know. And we know about how... Oh god. Bankman! I can only remember 2 names, Egon and Bankman. I'm so sorry. I feel terrible now. It's been a little bit since I've watched the movie. About a year or more, actually. Anyway. Dan Aykroyd's character is a... Peter Bankman, I believe, is a paranormal researcher for a college along with his buddy Egon. And, God, I just cannot remember. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna have to wiki that. I'm gonna have to, like, Google this. Because I want to be able to, like, my brain just is not functioning. 1984? Really? 1984. Wow. Bill Murray, not Aykroyd. It's actually in theaters again. I'm not sure I believe that. Anyway, I mean, I guess I can understand, but at the same time. Here we are. Okay, so it's apparently from 1984. I thought it was not... didn't think it was quite that old. Anyway. Apparently Aykroyd came up with the plot of this. So, Peter Venkman, Raymond Stantz, and Egon Spengler are paranormal researchers who lose their job at Columbia University and start an establishment called the Ghostbusters to trap and capture ghosts and study them. They end up hiring a fourth member, Winston Zeddemore, because of the high demand, and they end up finding out that they have reached apocalypse. There is like this there's like this paranormal deity, Zool, who is going to open is a demigod worshipped in... Zool is a demigod worshipped as a servant of Gozar the Gozerian. That's right, Gozar. A Sumerian shapeshifting deity of destruction. And apparently it is time for the end of the world. And they have to try and stop this, and... yeah. And they do. I mean, that's the point. Both movies, the world's about to end, and they stop it. So, let's start with the new Ghostbusters. So we open in this fancy house, fancy old 19th century house in New York, being led by a tour guide. A tour guide's leading a tour through it, and oh god, the tour. Okay, definitely poking some fun at politically correctness here. Because, what is it? He talks. He just, it's politically correct in the most insulting fashion. I don't think people realize how easy it is to use politically correct terms to insult people, but it really is. And that's basically what he's doing. You know, he's just like, you can easily imagine Mr. So-and-so sitting in here with his friends. Oh no, I remember the joke I really loved was that the house was state-of-the-art with facial bidet and anti-Irish security fence. Because it's set in New York, of course. And the 19th century Irish gangs. And then there's another thing later on where he's like, you can easily imagine Mr. So-and-so in here entertaining his guests. Some freaking... like, I've heard the exact same words before in, like, a social justice post, and it's like, ouch. Okay. And, you know, he's like, you know, house is haunted, blah, 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 and the candlestick falls over. Well, as he's closing up for the night, you find out that he has this little remote in his pocket that causes a device to push the candle over to make it look creepy. And then the locked door opens and you see the ghost. Well, you don't actually see the ghost. There's lights and the guy goes, you know, the guy is like, you know, gets the crap beat out of him. And there's this I absolutely love. He runs down into the basement, sees that the floor is green and cracked and weird looking, looks up and sees the basement door closed, and he goes, oh, like, he realizes and acknowledges that he has just made the biggest mistake that you can make in a horror movie. He is dead now. You know. Which leads to when the guy goes to see Aaron. He owns the house, he manages the historic site. And he's trying to get someone to come out because if he tells the police, they're just going to think he's crazy. And it's actually a problem. So she finds out about the book, and she's freaking out, and she goes to, you know, basically try and get her friend to take it down. Like, seriously, this is bad for my career. And she mentions offhand about the place, so they go to investigate. One thing I've actually noticed, so a lot of people complain very early in this movie when Aaron meets Holtzman and we get to meet Abby. There's a joke that they play. They play back an EVP for Aaron, only it's not an EVP. It's a recording of a fart. And Jillian jokes, you know, now ask us if it came from the back or the front. It's a queef joke. And a lot of people were like, you know, that's just kind of gross and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what do you think a fart joke is? You know, I was actually, that did not bother me at all. You know, it's like, I don't know, I think part of the reason, like, so many people might have been upset about that is because it's not something we've seen. But, dude, fart jokes are a dime a dozen. Why are you bothered by this one? Why? There's nothing, you know, hell, I guarantee you most people in the audience didn't even catch it. So that happens, and we get to see our library ghost. In this one, she's the eldest daughter of the house owner, the house's original owner, who went crazy and killed all his servants in the middle of the night, and she just happens to be, like, in the library of the house when she appears, when she manifests, as opposed to actually being the library ghost, which was still okay. They don't end up in the firehouse, not at first. That was always a big thing in the original movie, was the firehouse. They end up above a Chinese restaurant, which actually kind of works for them, and I thought that was kind of funny, especially because, like, there's this running gag that Abigail always orders from the same Chinese place, and she never gets more than one wonton in her wonton soup, and it always takes forever. And, like, they're literally right above the restaurant. And she goes, I'm literally right upstairs. It still took an hour. And they're still, you know. And that's kind of like a running gag. Chris Hemsworth as the receptionist. I wasn't as fond of him as I was of the receptionist in the original movie. In the original movie, God, I wish I knew her name. The original movie has this very kind of gutsy, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Janine Melnitz, played by Annie Potts, is the receptionist. You know, she's she's like interviewing people for the job position. She's like, do you believe in the supernatural, the, you know, past lives, apparitions, karma, blah 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 blah. I believe in anything if you know. She's very bored by the entire thing, but she does her job and she does it well. Chris Hemsworth's character is so bizarre. Like he's pretty, but that's like the only thing he's really got. Like he doesn't. The only, like, he'll answer the phone and. Did they hang up? No, I was just done with the conversation. You know, that was kind of ridiculous. Really ridiculous, actually, because it's just like, okay. But at the same time, I mean, I think he had fun with it. It certainly looks like he had fun with it. And it is definitely a nice change from the dumb receptionist, the dumb blonde receptionist that is only kept around for her looks gag. It's always nice to see a role reversal here. In this case, it's the dumb male receptionist who's really only kept because he's cute. Well, and that sounds terrible, but actually they actually like him. Like, he annoys the crap out of them. And he's not good at his job. But they do actually kind of like him, and they do, want to, keep him around just because they like him. But he's definitely kind of like, almost more like a pet than a person. He's kind of like, he's like an indulged child. They kind of pat him on the head, and, good job, Kevin. At the end of the movie, they even joke, I'm just gonna unplug his phone, he won't notice. Let's see, Holtzman. So in the original movie, we have Egon, doing all of our mad science work, and building our proton packs and our ghost traps. In this one, we have Jillian Holtzman. Oh my god. Like, there's a lot of people who have been coding Holtzman as lesbian. I kind of hope so, because like at least like lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, whatever, just something. Because Holtzman is a glorious character. She's fun. She is hilarious. I love her. And I also love that she's the scientist. She's the one building all these cool gadgets and these, weird things. And she's this funny, bubbly, quirky woman, And I think that is hilarious and awesome. I love Patty. Patty starts out as a worker for the MTA. And she kind of ends up getting, like, she doesn't even, apply for a job or anything. She just kind of, is like, I'm gonna help. And then she's like, I didn't think it'd be like this. And then, she's part of the team. But actually, that was what kind of got me to where I wanted to watch this movie. In the trailer, the second trailer, they showed Abby getting possessed, and Patty just, bitch slaps her and then goes, the power of Patty compels you, and pow! And literally slaps the ghost out of her. And I am just laughing my ass off watching this. It's hilarious. And I guarantee you, if anyone could do it, it ain't gonna be my skinny white ass. Trust me. I don't think I could scare a bunny rabbit at this point in my life. Boom. Sweet! No. A mouse, maybe? But I'm not intimidating, and I know it, so. God, so I do want to talk about the villain of this film. The villain of our film is... He is a nerd. He is a white male nerd. I don't think it was accurate to say that he was a metaphor for the original fans. He doesn't strike me as being that way at all. because he's not that kind of a nerd, if that makes sense. This is the guy who creates a persecution complex. Like, okay, yeah, he's a nerd, and he probably did get bullied, but everyone likes to make it seem like, nerds are isolated and all. No, they are not, dude. We find our own. We find them and we hold on to them because they are the fellow weirdos, and that's, and maybe it's a guy thing that they don't, but I know, especially females, as a woman, I always was looking for my fellow female nerds because I need somebody to talk to about this with, And another thing I thought was, like, hilarious, there's a scene where he goes to an Ozzy Osbourne concert to plant his device to charge the ley lines and shit. And, I'm a huge fan of rock and roll music. I love metal music. I love all of that. And these are weird people. They are weird people, and they are completely unashamed of that, and they have no problem with that. And it's like, dude, you are literally walking into Weirdo Central, and you are being a pretentious dick. Like, that's the thing that really gets me, is that I really hope this character was not a metaphor for the original fans, because he's a pretentious dick. He thinks he's so much better than everyone, and, I get it, you were bullied, we've all been bullied, but he literally spends the entire movie convinced that he is, like, some kind of, like he is this super genius, and the world is supposed to bow down at his feet and worship him, and he deserves adulation, and instead he gets, derision and bullied, and, what? And, like, the first time we see this guy is at the MTA. He walks up to Patty's booth and he tells her that the laborers will be the last led to the slaughter. No wonder people think you're a freak. He doesn't see, that kind of line. I'm thinking, I wasn't expecting him to be the bad guy. I'm expecting him to just be like some religious nutcase, and we're gonna pan by later and see him with a sign saying, the end is nigh. That's more or less what I was expecting. And he's our villain. So I did kind of, like, I seriously don't think he's meant to be, like, a metaphor for nerds or for the fan base. I think he's meant to be, if anything, if he's going to be a metaphor for any kind of nerd culture stereotype, it's going to be the nerd boy who is convinced the reason he can't get a date is because he's a nerd, and not because he's a creepy, self-entitled jerk. This is the kind of guy you expect to see at Comic-Con, going, don't you read the comic books? You're looking at a Duella Dent cosplay and going, fake geek girl, trying too hard, and having no idea that this is actually a character from the Batman comics. This is the guy, I guarantee you, this is the kind of guy who looks at girls in Batman shirts and goes, oh, nice shirt, but you can't name any of the people who ever were Batman besides Bruce Wayne. Really? Or a Green Lantern. Bet you can't name any of the Green Lanterns, and that's, that's what that guy was. That guy was the one who sits there and asks, what's your favorite, who sees you in a Star Trek shirt and goes, what's your favorite Star Trek captain? And why should I have to qualify that I'm why should I have to qualify my nerd cred? I don't have to, I don't have to show you my nerd card to prove that I'm a nerd. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what level of fandom I'm in. If I'm just a casual watcher of Star Trek, doesn't matter. I can wear a freaking Star Trek shirt. You know, it's not your job to police my fashion and my fun. And that, I think, is like the only thing I can think of for him to be a metaphor for, is that particular species of nerd boy who is convinced that, you know, he's persecuted because he's a nerd and doesn't realize that he's being persecuted because he's a creep, not a nerd. Like, okay, yeah, you're a nerd. You're into nerdy culture. You're, you know, into computers and stuff like that. But that's not why people don't like you. They don't like you because you're weird and you're creepy and you say things that make them uncomfortable and you do things that make them uncomfortable and they just don't want to be around you because of that. It has nothing to do with, you know, being a nerd. It just has to do with the fact that you're a creep. So I do definitely disagree that it is a metaphor for the original. Especially because, like, it's not that he's even really a nerd. Like, the only nerd culture that he has that we see is that he's into physics. You know? And yeah, kids get bullied for being into science and maths, okay. But if you're really good at physics, as this guy apparently is to have built this stuff, you can get a good job and get respect. The reason he probably didn't is because he wanted to do it his way, and that's not always how the world works, you know? Like, I mean, I don't know what this guy's issue is, you know? It's just that whole persecuted genius complex when, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you're smart, but you're also, you know, creepy as fuck. And nobody wants to be around you because of it, you know? And then you also have to wonder, because he didn't figure out any of this stuff on his own, you know? He got it from their book. In which case, how smart is this guy really? You know? I mean, he's literally using their research. You know? I'm not saying that you can't use other people's research to find new things, of course. Certainly not. That's kind of how science works. You take something that someone else has done and you can continue that. But, I don't know, I just kind of feel like he, like, I feel like he's one of those people who didn't go anywhere in life because he expected it to be given to him, and now he blames everyone else for not giving it to him, despite the fact he never did anything. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a guy who, really smart, made nothing but C's because, you know, well, I don't have to work. Yeah, because he never did the homework. Like, well, I already know it all and I aced the test, so... No, you have to do the homework, though. They want to see it. I don't know. So, anyway, final thoughts on this movie. What I thought about it. What I liked. I actually really liked the movie. I had a good time. It was fun. Is it great? No. But the original wasn't really either. I mean, the original had a lot of weird things going on. It didn't always have a consistent storyline. And it had that bizarre freaking romance plot. What was that all about? We did not need a romance in Ghostbusters at any point in time, which actually was something I did like about this. There was no romance in this Ghostbusters. I mean, the romance in the original movie, it was just kind of like they just stuck it in there because, you know, it's a movie, it has to have a romance. Like, no wonder their relationship was, like, failed in the second movie. You know? The entire movie is Bill Murray's character trying to get into her pants and her freaking out because there's a demon dog in her fridge. So yeah, the first one definitely had its flaws. This one does too. It does have its moments where it's not very coherent. It has some moments where you're kind of like, huh? And there are quite a few jokes that I kind of felt fell flat. Like, I could tell, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. I can tell that they were meant to be funny, but I didn't find them funny. With that said, I still really loved the movie. I had a really great time at the theater, and I didn't hate the ending. I thought the ending was pretty decent. So, I do actually intend to buy this movie when it comes out on DVD because, like I said, I did have fun. And I'm just kind of going to leave it up to you guys, whether you watch it or not, whether you like it or not. I do want to find out, let me know in the comments below. Or, hell, message me on Tumblr. But, yeah, I kind of want to know what you think about it. And I want to know if you've had any, if at any point you thought I, disagreed with me, or you agreed with me, or, just share with me your thoughts. This is Bella Grimm signing off. Keep it real, my Grimlings. And I will see you guys next time.
If they ever ask about me, tell them I was more than just a great set of boobs.